like I said, the main thing I think that I love the most is the small community feeling. I love knowing that I've taught here for 4 years since Spencer opened, and I know almost every kid that is third grade through 11th grade, soon to be 12th grade next year. I love knowing that some of the upper school students and middle school students that I've never taught before, I still know them and I know things like I know their families, I know things like that because we are such a small school, and I really, really like that. I think the kids also really seem to like that because they feel like the whole school can be a friend group. So some schools that you go to, you have your little cliques or a small group of friends, but I think here there are kids that are friends with kids in all different grades just because they ride the bus together or they see them at breakfast or sometimes at lunch, depending on what grade they're in and things like that. So I really love that about Spencer. And another thing I really love is the diversity at Spencer. So it's awesome that we get kids from all over CPS because there are kids that are from almost opposite sides of town that would have never met each other that are now best friends. And I really, really love that and having that diversity and the different backgrounds of all of the different students and things like that in our classes. And lastly, one of the main things I really love before I kind of move on into answering some of your questions is I really love kind of the blend that Spencer has between what seems to kind of be like the Montessori style of teaching that's kind of hands-on at your own pace, things like that, choice of learning and of showing what you know, and mixing that with kind of like the traditional. So it's kind of a good blend, I think, of the Montessori and the regular classroom teaching styles, which I really personally love. And I think the kids really seem to love that too. So, for example, there are times when I'll give menu boards where kids will have different options on what projects or assignments they would like to do to kind of benefit them in their learning and going towards our goals. There are times when I'll let kids turn in assessments or do assessments in different ways. So there's just a lot of kind of choice when it comes, especially in lower school, but it still goes up in high school as well. When it comes to kind of what you're able to learn and how you're able to learn it and how you're able to show what you know, kind of what you've learned. So I think those are a lot of the main things. Oh, and one more thing is I really appreciate that the staff here, especially Mr. Nacchio, the principal, who right now is on maternity leave, but she'll be coming back. I really love that we are open to hearing what students want. So I know this will kind of go into your question form. I saw that somebody asked about the after school extracurricular activities that are offered. And a lot of those extracurricular activities were thought of by students. So students and families would reach out and say, hey, I'm really interested in doing yoga and mindfulness. And we don't really say, oh, sorry, we don't offer that here. But if we can get staffing to make that happen and enough kids interested, then it's something that we started doing a couple years ago. So I really love that. It feels like I have a lot of say as a staff member, and the students also have a lot of say as well. They feel heard, and I feel heard, and it's just really great. So those are a lot of the main things I really love about Spencer. And I'm going to go kind of into questions now. So I'll look at the sheet, but if you guys have any questions as well, you can put them in the chat or raise your hand in Google or whatever, and I'll try to answer those as well as I'm going. So one of the questions that we get a lot of times is, what is the difference between because we're for gifted and exceptional students, what's the difference between the exceptional classroom and the gifted classroom? Is there a big difference? And like, what does that look like? And there actually isn't. So we really try to kind of have those two groups coexist and be in the same room. It's something that we think is beneficial for all of the students. And what we do is we just do differentiation within that room. So there are going to be some kids that are gifted in math, and they might also be not gifted in reading, or they might be gifted in science and not gifted in math or reading or whatever. And so it's really important that we kind of have those groupings all together, and we are able to teach them to their own needs within each classroom. So we try really hard to differentiate within the classroom instead of having like a gifted class and an exceptional class. Because like I said, even if a child does test as gifted in math, there's a wide range of that, right? So even if we did have like a gifted class and an exceptional class, then there would still be differentiation happening within those classrooms. So we like to blend those classes together. With that being said, there are opportunities within the classroom for kids to be able to follow interests that they have, or if they are really good in a certain aspect of what we're teaching and they already kind of know they're already good with that and successful with that topic or that certain skill, then there are that within the differentiation piece, there are ways where they can continue being extended while we are still working with the other kids on those skills. So it's kind of classroom to classroom, teacher to teacher, but we make sure that everyone kind of gets their needs met and to be able to become a successful student. So that's one question that we get a lot. I would say another question that we get a lot is about how we address the CPS curriculum versus like a gifted curriculum. And so what we're able to do is we don't necessarily, oh, hold on one second. This is the office. So just one moment, please. Okay, sorry. Like I said, that was the office. I guess some parents said that they're having trouble in a waiting room, so hopefully they can come in. I don't see anyone in a waiting room. So to go back to that, we don't necessarily have a straight up gifted curriculum for every single grade, every single subject. What we do instead is we have like our CPS curriculum that we are able to go through a little bit quicker usually. And what we will do is the teacher then will find different aspects of gifted curriculums within their subject to be able to reach deeper into those CPS curriculum. So for instance, right now, my third graders, we are doing a whole unit on natural resources. And so I, at my old school, would have had to try to cram this in as much as I could because there wasn't really very much room for science or social studies at my old school that I taught at. So I'm really happy that it's here. But what we do is I focus on natural resources, but we are able to go way more in depth than I would have at a different school. So it's not necessarily that we don't follow the CPS pacing or what they want us to do for curriculum, but we also can go deeper into those. So right now we're doing natural resources and natural disasters. We're not on our CPS curriculum for natural resources in third grade, but I'm able to kind of tie those into our natural resources because we are able to go a lot deeper on that. So like today, my kids are building a flood barrier. So I'm giving them a house. We're testing the absorbency levels of different materials. And then they're going to use those tomorrow and Monday to be able to build a barrier, a flood barrier for the house that they are given. So those are just examples of how we go a little bit deeper into the topics instead of, it's not necessarily, okay, we're going to use this whole different curriculum. We just get to add on to CPS's curriculum. I see something in the chat about the difference between gifted and exceptional. So basically, it's just dependent on some of the tests that are taken, like the Iowa. It can be on like MAP tests and air tests and things like that. And it's just dependent on the percentile that your child scores in. So I don't, to be quite honest, pay as much of attention to those exact scores. I mean, I have a general idea of how kids scored, but I pay attention to how they perform in the classroom and kind of differentiate on those regards. If you want like an exact breakdown on the difference between gifted and exceptional scores, then Miss Ellis or Mr. Colby in the office would be able to tell you the exact number that is reached in those for those groups. So I think those are some of the main things. Oh, another question that I got on the parent forum is about basically how we teach or have kids interact with each other, with the community, kind of like social emotional teaching. And one thing that all of CPS does, and that we are really really big on and big on, is just the advisory. So we do advisory lessons, and we also do second step, which is a social emotional curriculum as well. And so we have advisory in lower school. We have an advisory bell every morning. And so in my classes, we do advisory once a week, which is the actual advisory class. We do second step once a week, which is the other social emotional aspect. And then those other times, the kids are able to use that for project time or being able to work with other peers on different STEM challenges and things like that. So that is kind of, we're really big with seeing the child as a whole and just making sure that we are doing the social emotional teaching as well as the academic teaching. So kids in classrooms, it kind of varies depending on how many kids come in, obviously. But I would say on average, there's usually between 20 and 25 kids in each classroom for the lower level. And then when it gets to high school, it actually gets smaller than that. So it's usually like between 15 and 20 in the high school. So it's really great. I mean, I don't ever feel like I'm overwhelmed by the amount of kids that I have. Right now in fourth grade, we have 17 kids in one, I believe, and 19 kids in the other. And then our third grade class is really small this year, but I believe it's because of everything with COVID going on. I think people were kind of worried about leaving their neighborhood schools or going to CBA and things like that. So, which I completely understand. So our third grade class is small. We only have one main class of third graders because we kind of put them together, and there are 15 of those children in each class right now. Okay. So next, for incoming third grader, what curriculum options are there, or is there anything set for that entering grade? So the curriculum options, like I said, we use kind of CPS's main. So what we do is we use CPS's pacing guide. We say, okay, this is what the kids should be learning, and we are able to pull from different curriculum places to get those materials to make sure that we are teaching those kids what they need to learn and going a little bit deeper with that. So I'm not sure exactly what you mean by the curriculum options. So I'm not sure how to answer that. I'm sorry. If you can help me know what you mean a little bit more, that would be great. But we are able to kind of pull from different places for our curriculum, which I really love. And then one last thing that I would say, I'm making sure I'm looking at the sheet right now, but one last thing I would say I get a lot of questions about is about like outdoor time and extracurricular activities. So we make sure that the kids in 3rd through 6th grade have recess every day. So right now we have lunch for 30 minutes and a 20-minute recess every day. And the 3rd and 4th graders go to lunch and recess together, and the 5th and 6th graders go to lunch and recess together. There are also extracurricular activities, which, like I said earlier, there are some already in place, and then there are some that we just add on whenever kids show interest and families show interest in those, or teachers show interest in those as well. So right now for lower school, we offer right now basketball, which is great, elementary basketball for grades 4 through 6. We have a Say Soccer team, which I'm the Say Soccer coach. So if your kid's interested in soccer, we can get them out there running around. We have MORE, which is Men Organized, Respectful, and Educated. It's a great program that one of our security staff runs. His name is Mr. Crowell. And it's awesome for the young men that are in grades, I think that's 3 through 6, but it might just be 4 through 6. We have a ski club. We have student council, which is awesome because the student council kids in 3rd and 4th grade even get to be on the council with the high schoolers. So we have a lot of great representation from the elementary, and they get to see what the student council is like. have a chess club. We have a yoga and mindfulness club. We have a scratch club, which is like coding on the computer. We have crystal clear science. We have taekwondo. We have a brain bowl team, which I'm also the coach of, and I'm actually also the coach of basketball. So basically, if your kid's in an extracurricular, they'll probably see me a lot. We have Project 38, which is a theater group, which is really awesome. And then we have a robotics club as well. And I see somebody asked about electives like Spanish. So our kids actually go to 5 specials classes a week. So for instance, my kids, on Mondays, we go to art. On Tuesdays, we go to PE. On Wednesdays, we go to tech. On Thursdays, right now, they are in Spanish. And on Fridays, they go, which one am I? Oh, music. They go to music. So it's really great because they get to go to all of those specials and they get to go to each one every week, which they really enjoy. So I think that's a lot. I'm going to look and see what the questions, but do you guys have any other questions while I'm looking at this to make sure I'm kind of staying on what I should do? Oh, I did see somebody asked about how is the learning connected kind of to like the community? And so I can just give a kind of an instance for me, but I know in my science class, we were talking about weathering, erosion, deposition, and I played it so we learned about it. We were going to do a lab or a project, and one of the labs was to help solve the landslide issue on Columbia Parkway, which is an awful issue that I have to deal with on almost a daily basis, which is very upsetting to me. So hopefully one of these children can fix that in the near future. But so we had I had them use actual tin, I don't know, some sort of a pan or something. And I put sand in there and they were able to use little things that would be like fake plants, because we know that the roots hold all of the land together or help hold land together. So they were able to use that. They were able to use any materials that they would like to try to fix that weathering and erosion and deposition aspect. So what we like to do is use what they're learning in the classroom and kind of apply that to our area and kind of worldly issues. Oh, wonderful. Thank you for drop off and pick up and things like that. So as of right now, and I think Miss Ellis is up here, she can tell me if I'm incorrect. Miss Ellis works in the office. She's great. Right now, our school hours are 9:30 to 4:30. And the way that pick up and drop off works is so kids can ride the bus, obviously, but if you are dropping off, there is just right now, because of COVID stuff, there is an entry when you pull up, your kid gets their temperature taken. If the temperature seems to be great, then they are able to come into the building, and there's like a 15-minute window where they can come in and they can go eat breakfast if they need breakfast. And if they don't need breakfast, then they can go to the gymnasium where they're able to chat with some people in their grade level and things like that. And then for dismissal it's like 4:22 or 4:18 or something. For dismissal, we go upstairs and there's just a car line, and you pull up to a certain place, and you have a number, you display it in the window. They tell the kids who's who. When all the cars stop, the kids can go to their cars, and it just kind of rotates all the way through. Drop off window. It's between, I believe, 9:30 and 9:45. And so we start advisory actually at thank you, Miss Ellis, 9:20 to 9:45. So 25 whole minutes of being able to eat breakfast and things like that. So that's all good stuff. I'm just looking to see what some of the questions are. If you guys have any, keep them coming. One question I have is, do they have access to 3D printing and technology? They do have access to 3D printers. I think that Mr. Conley, who is here right now, who unfortunately I think will not be with us at our school next year, he is the tech teacher for specials right now. And I think he allows all grades to be able to use the 3D printers because they use a program called Tinkercad, I believe. I don't know a whole lot about it, but they're able to plan 3D printing projects around the things that Mr. Conley is asking them to do. So yes, that is something that they're able to have. For a daily schedule, I would love to walk you through a daily schedule. So they come to school at apparently 9:20, Miss Ellis says, and they're able to get breakfast, do all of those things. 9:35 is when the first bell rings, and they're able to come to class. And I think they're allowed to have up to 9:45 to be able to eat if they need to. So advisory starts at 9. I start advisory at like 9:45. I let the kids come in, get settled, all of that stuff. From 9:45, I'm going to pull up my actual time so I can get this wrong. From 9:45 until 10:21, we have advisory. So it's about 40-ish minutes because I sometimes start a little bit earlier. And then after that, they have their block 1 class for an hour. So from like 10:23, because we give them a couple minutes to move if they need to 11:23, the third graders have reading class. After that first, so each one of their core blocks is an hour long. They have 4 core blocks that are an hour long. After their reading class, they go to specials, and their specials are from 11:26 to 12:16. So they have 50 minutes in there. After their specials, they go to lunch, and they have 30 minutes at lunch and then 20 minutes on the playground. Now, in years past, when kids were able to move through the hallways a little bit more freely without adults having to be there and spaced out and all of that stuff, we would usually let the kids go from lunch a little bit earlier to be able to get a little bit more outside time if they were done with their lunch early. But because of our safety plan, we're trying to make sure that kids are not moving through the hallway unless there's an adult with them and they are spaced out properly. So right now they have 20 minutes of recess instead of being able to have that extra availability. So they have lunch and recess, and then after lunch and recess, that's from 12:19 to 1:09. Then they start block 2, which is for the third grade, that is science class. So they have an hour of science class from 109 to, here we go, sorry, 1:12 to 2:12. And then they have their next block, which is for the third graders math from 2:15 to 3:15. And then they have their last block of the day from 3:18 to 4:18, which for them is social studies. So they see when they go through the day, they have every lower school student has an advisory class. They have 4 core classes. They have a specials class and lunch and recess. Advisory. So the advisory bell is kind of like a homeroom bell, but advisory itself is a program that CPS uses to help with social and emotional learning with the kids. And it actually, as they go through middle school and high school, it also talks about different career paths and kind of getting ready for that. So it's kind of like, that's the time where the kids get to have some learning and teaching time that is not just academics based, but it's also like feelings based, communication based, things like that. So my kid, but I love having advisory with the third graders because they absolutely love it. Like they think that's their time to be able to share their feelings. And that's when I really see kids like connecting. I know that they connect during lunch and recess, obviously, but they really get to know each other in advisory because it's like a safe space for them to be able to share what's going on, how they're feeling. Like last week, we set goals. We set an academic goal and we set a character strengths goal, which is something CPS talks about. There's like 24 character strengths, like self-control, perseverance, love of learning, things like that. And they pick a goal and we make a plan on how they're going to work on achieving better self-awareness or self-control. And then in the academic part, how they're going to get better at their multiplication and things like that. So advisory is really, really awesome. I love that bell with them. All right, so I'll look for some more questions, but if you guys have any, let me know. And also, before I continue, because I need to make sure, I know some of you might have to leave a little bit early. Miss Ellis wanted me to let you guys know, Miss Ellis, I've lost that email for a second, so just give me a second. To make sure that if you are, Miss Ellis, are you on here? Can you let them know? about emailing you?
Miss Ellis is now on there.
Oh,
Hello,
okay.
everyone. That's okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Tiffany Wills. I am the interim principal while Miss Giannacchio is out on maternity leave. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I have invited Miss Ellis to come in and sit in the seat and chat with you to give you the information that Mr. Leon Guerrero was talking about. So here she is, and welcome.
Thank you.
Hello. I think I've probably talked to most of you, if not all of you. The reminder that I asked Mr. Leon Guerrero to share, Mr. G, is that if you are completing your application online, the online registration, please let me know. And please let me know that you are officially accepting your space. There is a process that I need to initiate with IT, since we're a magnet school, to make sure that it comes to our system. And I just don't want anybody to be in limbo between those processes. So I am easily able to investigate it once I know. So just please be open about where you are in the process, and I'm happy to work through that with you.
Thank you, Miss Ellis. Sorry.
That's okay. It's loud in the office, so I had to come to a quiet spot.
Oh yeah, thank you. Okay, so I see some more questions in the chat, which I would love to answer. I'm seeing one basically about what makes us different when we're teaching to other CPS schools. And that last sentence that this person wrote is what makes us different, I think. There's a lot of hands-on stuff. So it's project-based learning, where a lot of kids we're building things, or we're doing experiments, or we're just doing a lot more hands-on learning than I have seen at any of the other schools that I've taught at, or went in and shadowed, or any of that stuff. So, I mean, for instance, our kids are doing, like I said, natural resources. They are doing kind of like an end of unit project to be able to put all of that into action. We did biomes, a biome project. The kids had to do, I mean, there's a lot more to the project, but they had to create their own animal with adaptations to go in their biome. They had to do some sort of a representation of their biome, if it was like a diorama, or they could take us on, some kids did like a 3D video tour of their biome. So they're able to really show what they are learning and understanding and knowing through a lot of different ways. So I would say the main things that kind of separate us from other CPS schools is that we're project-based learning. There's a lot of hands-on things that are happening, and there's a lot of student choice. And I feel like, from my point of view, something that when I talk to the kids and I say, hey, what's something that you like about Spencer? Or when I say, hey, are you going to another school when they're in 7th grade? And kids will sometimes say yes and sometimes say no. And when they say they're staying at Spencer, I say, oh, what made you stay? And I would say 99% of the time, it's either the small community feeling that they feel like they are actually heard, or that they are able to really show who they are through their projects, or their presentations, or the assignments they pick, or anything like that. So I would say that's the biggest thing, that it's more open than just like, okay, I'm going to give you this worksheet, please do that. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing. And then, like you also said earlier in this statement about being able to go deeper, there are things that are related to what I'm teaching, but are not supposed to be taught in science until a lot later. I'm able to go in with the 3rd and 4th graders just because they are able to kind of wrap their heads around that and use what they know to be able to go even deeper on other topics. So I would say that's what kind of differentiates us from other schools in CPS. Oh, I forgot to answer this question about Jack. I saw that in the parent survey form, so thank you for reminding me. So I have here that Jack is concerned about the lack of books. We have plenty of books. So we have books in our classrooms every quarter, depending on, I don't know if Jack is going to be a 3rd grader or a 4th grader, but in 3rd grade, we have like units that we use with our curriculum, and each one of them has a different book. So the book that we're talking about right now is Moonshot. It's about the Apollo 11 mission. So that's one of the books we're using now. We also have like, I have a bookshelf. I don't know if you can really see over there if I tilt you over there, but we have a book. I have a bookshelf over here where kids, it's like a little library. Kids are allowed to have books from there. And Miss McDonald, who teaches reading as well, she has books that she can lend out to children as well. And also we have a subscription to Epic. So those are all, there's like just a million books on this digital library for Epic. So we have that as well. So I would say that Jack does not need to worry about physical or digital books being hard to find, is what I would say. And if he is finding that hard to find, then we can do something about that. Okay. We can definitely help him out. Aaron Arnold, are we asking my email or Miss Ellis's email when she was speaking? Sorry.
That was Miss Ellis' email. Thank you.
Oh, okay. I will send you Miss Ellis's email in the chat. Oh, she already did. Miss Wells and Miss Ellis, just great. Okay. When are the teacher and room assignments announced? So we need, it's a little bit later for us because we have to wait for enrollment to go through. I know what we've been doing in the past is there are there are 4 third and fourth grade teachers. So like when our numbers are what they usually are, like I said, this year was a little bit weird because of COVID and things like that. We haven't really experienced that before, but there's a social studies teacher, Miss Pleasant. There is, and she's very pleasant. There is a science teacher who is me, Mr. G. There is a reading teacher, Miss McDonald, and there is a math teacher, Miss Twitty. And so all 4 of us teach third and fourth grade kids. Now, the way that we break it down usually is there's 2 third grade classrooms and 2 fourth grade classrooms. So 2 of us will be the advisory teachers or the like homeroom teachers for the 2 third grade groups. And then the other 2 will be for the fourth grade groups. And what we've kind of come up with that we really love is Miss Pleasant and I are the homeroom teachers for the same grade. And we follow those kids. So like right now, I am the advisory teacher for the third grade group, and Miss Pleasant was as well. And then next year, we will still be their advisory teacher so that we can stay with them because we really love being able to continue those relationships with the kids that we have. And so next year, if your child is going to be a fourth grade kid, then their advisory teacher would probably either be myself or Miss Pleasant. And that is not really decided until usually the summer because we have to wait for enrollment numbers and figure out exactly how many we have and how it's going to be split and all of that stuff. If your child is going into third grade, then it is a high probability that their advisory teacher would either be Miss McDonald or Miss Twitty, because then they will have them for advisory and homeroom for all year, and then they would follow them to fourth grade as well. I will say, so like with the teacher assignments, the only assignment there really is for the homeroom or advisory teacher, because the kids see all 4 teachers every day through those blocks. So it's not like the school I used to teach from, we weren't broken up like that. Like I had just one group of kids all day long. And so it was kind of more important usually to families who their kid got, like they wanted them to get the awesome teacher who was like mostly me usually. So they wanted their kids to get like the good teacher because they were with them all day, every day, all year. But here it's a lot different. They spend an hour-ish in advisory, 45 minutes in advisory with that teacher every day for the year, or for 2 years actually. But other than that, they see 4 other teachers because they see their 3 other core teachers and their specials teacher for every day. Oh, 6th grade. So everything I'm saying I see Jack will be in 6th grade. I believe that, so it's really weird because Miss McDonald, it was the 3rd and 4th grade reading teacher, but she got moved to 5-6 because we had such a small 3rd grade. So anyway, for anything I'm saying, it is relevant to all of 3rd through 6th because like if Jack is in 6th grade, he can always still come get a book from me. It's not a big deal. We see all of our kids as all of our kids, not just as 5th and 6th grade or 3rd and 4th. Like that's part of the community feeling, I think. Okay, so what do we do for arts, music, theater, art, literature? So there is the specials classes that are included also have an art class and a music class. And then for theater, there is the Project 38 theater group. I think that's only for upper school students though, so 7th through 12th grade. It's like an after school theater group. It's an extracurricular thing. And art, literature. So one thing I really like about the curriculum we do use from CPS that we go deeper in for reading, called Wit and Wisdom. And they actually include art into their ELA curriculum. So for instance, my kids, we had to look at a piece of art and we had to use that as a block for analyzing and writing about it and how it was tied into our unit we were doing. So I really like that. I hope that kind of answers that question. Community events. Oh, okay. So we usually have dances. This year, obviously we can't, but there's usually a lower school dance every year. I don't think we've ever done carnivals, but we do field day. We do like a trunk and treat. We do things like that. Picnics, I don't think we've ever done a picnic, but I feel like, see, here's the thing that I'm going back to it. Things I love about Spencer is if there was a family that was like, hey, PTSO, I really want to do a carnival, then they would probably be like, okay, let's try to do a carnival. Like they're very open to hearing ideas and that's us as a school, really listening to what families want and need and trying to do the best we can to accommodate for that. Now, of course, there are going to be things where we're like, okay, we can't really do that. But I think it's better to know that you at least have a say in maybe trying to start it rather than not. I will say one thing that we have always done is like a school, can't remember what it's called, but it's like a school night where all the parents get together and there's like dinner and silent auctions and games, and it's a lot of fun. I've been to a couple of those and they get crazy, but they're a lot of fun. I really like them. How many kids go to Spencer? That is a question that I don't know the answer to. I want to say, I'm not even going to guess because I'll be wrong. So if Miss Ellis or Miss Wills is still on, it would be great if they could let you know. I see Miss Ellis, I think, is still on. But if you
they answered in the chat already.
Sorry.
You good?
Oh, it's right underneath. Just keep reading. Keep reading. Okay. So CDA or the kids with the same group of kids in blocks. Oh, yes. So the kids usually travel together as a class through each block. The only time really that so they are able to work with kids in other blocks. So like the 2 3rd grades, we have 3rd graders in the past that have worked with other 3rd graders on projects together, because usually they're about the same area of learning in like my science class. So they've been able to work with the other 3rd grade kid. But what happens then is during that advisory block where they're allowed to work on projects, they'll get together then and work together on that project. Or during science class, sometimes like we would okay, this kid is in social studies class now, this kid's in science class. Let's let that kid come from social studies into my science class. And then the next time the other kid will go to the social studies class. So we work together as a team to kind of allow for kids to work together when possible. So then when they're all combined would be like lunch and recess. They all get combined to be able to go to those together. So yeah, I hope that answered that question. If there are other, oh yeah, so I listed the extracurriculars before, but I would love to try to do that again. But some things that I don't really know, to be honest, what other schools offer, because I only taught at one other school before this and they didn't offer any of these. So I don't know if that's just them or if it is all of the schools, but where is it? I had an email somewhere from Miss Ellis. Miss Ellis really keeps me in line and helps me know what to do. And I'm completely not sure where that email went. But some of the clubs include like yoga and mindfulness, a Scratch coding club for like computers. Oh, awesome. Oh yeah, so we have a soccer team, and usually CPS teams or CPS schools don't have soccer teams, but we do because we actually went through Say Soccer. And so I think the only other CPS schools are like Fairview has one. I know Hyde Park has one because we just played them and barely lost. Clifton has one, I think. So PRM. There are a few schools that have that, but it's like a small handful that have that, especially for elementary grade levels. Okay. So that is actually my bell to have children come back. So it might get really loud in a moment. I am going to ask if you have any questions. Sorry for kind of cutting it off right now. But if you guys have any more questions or anything like that, please don't mind or don't bother or think that it's crazy to ask us, because we're more than happy to answer everything. Miss Ellis put her email and contact information in the chat, so you can do that. If you guys have questions specifically for me, that's okay too. I'll put my email in the chat. But I hope that this was informative. It helped you guys out. If you want to see the best tour ever, you can go to our website. The narrator will sound a lot like me. So I hope to see you guys all soon. I hope your kids would be a great fit here. I'm sure that they would. Just let me know if you have any questions. Let Miss Ellis know, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.